Oh, this is my jam. Time to accelerate. All right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. F it up. Oh, I'm in the groove. Back in the mix. Check yourself. Oh, feel that healing beat. All right, heal up. Heal up. Heal up. Heal up. Healing boost. Oh, I like the sound of that. Ooh, I must have this track on repeat. Repeat. Ooh, you hear that? You hear that? Oh, let's break it. Damn! Oh, let's break it. Damn! Oh, let's break it. Break it. Break it. Damn! Let's drop the beat. Beat. Let's get you healed up. Let's get you healed up. Healed up. Yeah. Healed up. Yeah, let's move it, people. Yeah, let's move it, people. Yeah, let's pick it up. Lucio coming at you. Coming at you. Yeah, time to heal up. Oh, turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up in my headphones. My headphones. Turn it up in my headphones. Audio medic. Audio medic. Audio medic. Move to the beat. Boost. Oh, this is my jam. Time to accelerate. All right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. F it up. Oh, I'm in the groove. Back in the mix. Check yourself. Oh, feel that healing beat. All right, heal up. Heal up. Heal up. Healing boost. Oh, I like the sound of that. Ooh, I must have this track on repeat. Repeat. Ooh, you hear that? You hear that? Oh, let's break it. Damn! Oh, let's break it. Damn! it. Break it. Break it.
All right, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Off the Wall, powered by CGO Console Gaming League. It's your boy Dazzle167 once again, and we have the GMNA Xbox champions, Banditos. Hey guys, how you guys doing?
Banditos.
Hey, what's up, stream?
Hi.
Hi.
Right, we got the or at least most of the squad. I don't know if anybody's missing, but we got at least
Masuda's missing.
Oh, Masuda, right. So we got
Masuda.
most of the squad.
Yeah, speaking with us, it's pointless.
So listen, this is the first time. This is the first time we've done this. This is the first time we've had actually more than one person in the entire stream interview. So this is gonna be a unique experience. And we got a lot of questions. And obviously at the end of the show, if anybody else has any questions, make sure to come and you know, let me know in the chat, and I'll ask them, and we'll see what we can do to answer all the questions. But we got quite a few things to talk about here real quick. So let's get to it real quick, because I think we have a lot of people and we have a lot of different questions. But let's start with one of the biggest ones that I think I asked myself this before the season started, because I knew that this was probably one of the biggest things. You know, when the season was started, the Throne had a lot of hype behind them, especially because they participated in the Lame Sauce tournament. They went to the finals. You know, everybody was thinking, oh, this is a tough team to beat. You know, they were the favorites. In fact, they were even the favorites for the Lame Sauce tournament. And then they go into CGL and all that stuff. And then the finals happen and you guys ended up winning. Do you see yourself as a team? Do you guys think that you were going in? Do you think you upset it, or do you think that you went in knowing that you guys were the better team? And did it fuel you to be not considered better than the Throne at the beginning of the season? I mean, you guys can all answer this question little by little. So I mean, if anybody wants to jump in, feel free.
I think I can start. So when we looked at the roster, we saw that the roster they were drafting, they were going to draft Wonderful, Mocha, which are two tank players, and Vinny plays primarily off tank, and then with Zelens, Harvey, we kind of just knew that they were going to run goats. And then we looked at the map pool. We saw Hanamura, we saw King's Row, we saw Lijiang, and those are maps where you usually play goats on. And Sham and Carnage have been playing goats together, along with Anthony, for a very long time. And Doom as well. Doom primarily plays Diva and goats. Anthony plays Zen. Sham Zarya, obviously, and Carnage Rhyme. So, and we kind of knew that they didn't have any practice on goats. So going in, we were really confident. But we knew that on paper, you know, they have Vinny, they have Best Friend, they have Harvey, they have really strong players. But we never really doubted ourselves throughout the series. We kind of just went in pretty confidently in every map, even the ones that we lost. Even after losing Ilios, you know, we there was no toxicity or there wasn't any blame. We were kind of just, all right, focus on the next map. And then we ended up tying the next map, Hanamura, which was unfortunate. But that's when we took the next two maps, Kings Row and Lijiang.
Right. And I mean, this is the sort of thing that did you guys feel like there was any, oh, people are not regarding us as the best team in comparison to the Throne? Was there any did it fuel you guys to be what we're gonna show them or anything like that?
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah, there was. I'm sure there was, because I feel like everybody I mean, even when they were doing the Lame Sauce tournament, you know, people like Tensa and people like Lame Sauce himself and a bunch of other people were doing speculations on who was gonna win that tournament and who was gonna win the CGL tournament. And the throne was always at the top, and you know, you guys were also up there, but like, you know, it always seemed like people talked more about the throne. So was that something that, you know, you guys really wanted to show off and be like, this, it's not the case?
Yeah, a little bit, but I think everybody always thought the throne was better than us, but we knew we could outgoats them, and goats is meta, so
Right.
I think
No.
the only
Yep.
comp that they're scary on is like quad DPS, honestly.
they're
Yeah.
only good
Lane
at
Sauce
they're
tournament,
built
that's
for quad
literally the only
DPS.
comp that we were scared of, and as I mean, rightfully should have been because we got like 4-0'd by him, but we kind of figured out how to counter in quad DPS with Sombra, Orisa Hog, etc. And they can't really play that anymore, so it's it was much more even going goats against, or well, in goats we have the advantage, and in other comps I think it was like 50-50.
Right. I mean, and this is gonna lead into my next question, which is it was really for General Carnage. I think that like one of the main factors that makes goats you know, heavily in someone's favor is the main tanking, right? I mean, the tanking has to be on point, and you know, usually it's like kind of like who has the better main tank at one point kind of wins the fight, and that's just sort of like a general consensus of goats, right? So like one of the biggest factors, especially in this last match for the finals, is that you know, General, you were there for all of the games, and it looked like, you know, the throne had changed out their main tank. You know, I think, you know, Mocha played for a little bit, and then Wonderful came in as main tank as well. Do you think that do you think that was smart on their part to do that, or do you think that that was just them trying to, you know, be like, we need somebody to put General in check?
Honestly, I think they should have kept with one person just to keep consistency.
Yeah.
But I do see why they put in Wonderful, because he can flex a little more to ball, which would allow them to play DPS comps. But as far as goats go, I would have just kept one person in,
Right.
probably Mocha for goats.
Right. I mean, it definitely changed in different aspects, like, but do you think that they put like, do you think the change happened, for example, Ilios? Do you think that was a bad I mean, it worked in their favor, right? Because after the first map, they were able to win
No.
Ilios. Do you think it was in their favor, or was it more something that you guys did?
No, it was us. I
Yeah.
waste on the second point. On first point, we played well. Like Carnage destroyed Wonderful, and then second point we played well up until like, well, I don't know, like midway through, and I wasted like a grab at the end of a fight, and that kind of like put us downhill. And then on third point, well, Carnage, you can kind of hands off the map.
Well, it's not a
Medical
good map
addiction
for
to
me.
falling off the map.
Twice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, you guys
But-
knew what the problems were internally, right?
Yeah, it was us.
Yeah.
It was us.
So you guys didn't feel like it was sort of like them getting
No.
the better of you because they
I
just
don't think
adapted
so.
to something. Okay,
No.
so you guys thought it was just
No.
like your guys'
We
error. All right.
definitely-
And then we
through
kept
that
playing
map.
goats the rest of the set. We kept playing goats the rest of the set and kind of handled them.
Gotcha. No, and yeah, it definitely makes sense. I mean, you guys did a lot of work. So okay, so Birdman, specifically you, you mentioned in the post game interview that you thought leaving in Zelens for the entirety of the game was a mistake, and they should have put Aspire Leo in there. If they would have put Aspire Leo in there, what would have changed in your strategy or the support strategies specifically for you guys? What would have changed?
Yeah. Yeah. So the question that Scary Dragons asked me was who I thought threw the hardest on the throne. I didn't really want to target anyone specifically, but the whole match I was looking at my counterpart in the enemy team, which was their enemy Lucio, because I'm on Lucio pretty much the whole time that we're playing goats.
Right.
So since Zelens was on Lucio, I would notice that some of his beat drops were a little off, and that he would get picked first right off the bat. And Lucio's very important in Ghost because he's the one that controls the speed. if Lucio's dead, then your tanks are immobile, and you have Diva and Zarya and Ryan in Goats in the lineup, and if they don't have a Lucio to speed him back so they can kite back, run away from the team, from the enemy team, then they're kind of just fucked. And he died multiple times at the start, and I just noticed. I feel like Aspire Leo would have been a better, well, obviously an upgrade because Aspire Leo plays a lot of Lucio, a lot of Lucio. He like mains Lucio and Zen, so he would have been perfect. And he was on the bench. He was spectating the whole time. Those 5 matches that we played, they never utilized him. I feel like the reason was because they wanted to be able to switch to Mercy, in case Goats wasn't working, or at a certain point in the map, they wanted to
Right.
switch to Fair Mercy or Mercy Zen, Double Sniper, or whatever composition they wanted to run. But I feel like, especially in Goats, Lucio beat drop is super important, either to obviously initiate a fight or to prevent your tanks from dying from enemy ults. And I feel like it would have been a major upgrade. I don't know how impactful it would have been because it's kind of just speculation at this point. Like
Right.
we can just predict what would have happened, but we don't know exactly. So I feel like they on King's Row. Especially if there was a map that Aspire Leo should have played on, it was King's Row because that's a map that you will see goats at least 80% of the time.
Right.
Um, throughout the match. So yeah, I think that was a throw. But I mean, I'm wondering what the rest of my teammates think because we all have different opinions on who threw the most
Sure.
on the enemy team.
So okay, so
What
what
do
do
you
you
guys
guys
think?
think? What do you guys think about that then? Like, what do you guys think as far as Aspire Leo? Was it something that would have changed the course of how you guys played those specific games? Like, would you have changed the way you played goats or who you focused?
Not really. Probably not.
Well, Aspire Leo definitely would have been an upgrade, but it wouldn't have changed how we played.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, but it might have made it a little more difficult. But as far as your own strategy,
Yeah.
it would have been kept the
Yeah.
same, right?
Mhm.
All right. I mean,
Do you guys feel like there was someone in their team that threw as well, or like someone that you guys noticed that was playing a little bit more?
Wonderful
Their
had
main
some bad
tank.
spins.
Yeah, I thought the difference between the Rhines was the most obvious. I'm not gonna say he threw. That's ridiculous. The Carnage is so good. I mean, nothing much.
I mean, I don't think it's. I don't think it's. I mean, I think it's safe to say that throughout the entirety of the match, General Carnage looked like the better Ryan out of anybody who pretty much
Yeah.
stepped up against General Carnage, right? But I think it had to do and speaking of that, which is sort of it sort of segues to this clip that I'm gonna show. There was a moment in Ilios where it was kind of evident not only General Carnage, but I believe also the tank play in general, like between you and General Carnage and Sham, like the synergy you guys have as a duo, tanking duo, really shows off in a lot of the matches. So let's check out this clip here real quick on Ilios.
Dominating the other tank just with all the shatters and displacement on them.
Well, General Carnage, speak of the devil, right now fighting hard in the front line. It's a big grab in. They have to. But it's a shatter on the other side of the.
Wow.
Oh my god, he almost got the 6th kill.
Wow.
Just.
So that's a clip between. Okay, so there's obviously a lot going on. There's the grabs, the shatters, counter shatters, and stuff like that. General Carnage specifically, do you think that like it was just a matter of like your I mean, I think it was evident that your shatters were better, but do you also think that the counter shattering was just better on your side, that they just because of that they couldn't do anything against it?
Yeah, well, whenever my team gets grabbed, I'm always going to be looking for a shatter just to try to stop the follow-up, and luckily I hit a big one.
Right. And I think that's part of the biggest thing. But let me ask you, Sham. Yeah, I think one of the funniest things before the match even started was everybody had like, we were looking at who's what characters everybody plays, and in the little spots where it says the top 3 heroes, Sham was Zarya, Zarya, and
Honestly,
Zarya.
I did not give them part of permission to do that.
So okay, so that was part of it, which I thought was pretty funny. Even the casters had a good laugh about that. But okay, so but you're known as primarily as a Zarya player. But you know,
Yeah.
I think going into many of the compositions used in the match, you flexed a lot to, especially to Roadhog. You know,
Yeah,
and
I'm
I think
quite God. You see my Honda?
Very funny, Sham. Very funny.
I mean, listen, I'm not gonna deny it because I thought when I saw you Roadhog, I was like, this is really good, and you know, I feel
my
like
Roadhog good.
I feel like also, you know, people, especially people who know Vinny from way back, know him as a Roadhog. You know, so did you go into the match with the mindset that if you had to flex, you had to just be better on Roadhog than he is, or did you think, no, I think I got this. I don't think the Roadhog matchup is that much different. Like, what was your mindset going into that matchup against Vinny?
Like I know he's like the best hog right now. Like I'm not gonna deny that, but like it's like people think he's like some like mythical demigod that like can't be beaten. But let's be honest, like the lame sauce tourney and the showcase, he was pretty much one tricking hog, and they still lost to West Coast. Yeah, I knew it was winnable. I mean, I knew my team was better, even though I'm not a better hog than Vinny. I knew my team was better than theirs. So
Right.
So
the support you had, basically, not just necessarily the supports themselves, but the support as a team in general, you think we're going to be better and outshine him as a player.
Well, yeah, mostly. Oh, and on the well map, it sucks because I was actually doing really good at hog. I was like hooking a lot of people, but unfortunately, I had a main tank that just couldn't help himself from falling off the map. So.
You know, I feel like no matter what, like we're gonna hear about that for like seasons to come.
Off the map than he did on the map. Like, it's insane.
So we're gonna hear that. Sham is gonna talk about that probably for a long time. It's like, hey, you remember that one time we went on Ilios?
I was on the right side. Every time I looked to the left, he's off the map. Like,
I was right next to him.
Swear to God.
You're not wrong.
That was the only round that he bought it out on. So
you're not wrong. Listen, at one point I believe the casters even. At one point the casters mentioned it. They were like, oh well, okay, there goes General Carnage in the map. So yeah, obviously I think we all saw that coming as well. Let's talk about Hanamura for a second. I think this is
about Hanamura.
I saw on Twitter that like you guys were
I got DDoS.
You got
No, I was just lagging the last couple minutes of that round. That's why I really wasn't doing much.
Well, let me ask you this, and I think that you know, I saw a comment that Tensa put out that was talking about, like, you guys had asked him, you know, what did you think of our game, and he was like, you guys are solid except for Hanamura. So tell us about specifically trying to capture the first point the second time around. Like, what was going through your mind?
Goats.
Right.
They were playing goats and they're holding close, which is like, it's extremely hard to break through that choke. Like their Zen, he has a way better position than our Zen because he gets to set up like back on the point and even on high ground, and our Zen has to like.
Right.
He really doesn't get set up at all. So pushing through that choke's insane. So what we sat on goats for like 2 minutes trying to like do a long flank, waiting for speed boost.
Right.
And we lost 2 fights, so we lost like 2 minutes doing that. We swapped to quad DPS, which was that should have won. That should have done it, but
I killed 2 people.
Carnage,
I'm sure we
Carnage
lost.
had a hard time.
Carnage fed.
I think we all like bought it out in our own way.
Yeah,
I messed up my barrage.
I mean, I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
Playing Hammond there against goats is super difficult. I was just getting stunned in Discord.
Yeah. Because there's 6 people on the point and he's just rolling around like an idiot, like just getting stunned out of his
If you're able to
mind.
run like quad DPS at like the very beginning, you probably would have.
Yeah, quad
Yeah,
DPS or Sim Goats. Sim Goats is designed to counter like goats playing at that first corner. Like I swear, Sim Goats would have worked, but we only need
Only
one
if someone
pick.
would have said that at the start.
Yeah.
Bro, I wouldn't Sim. You
Well, I
guys
forgot
just
I have
soft
5
on.
retards on my team that don't know how to play the game.
I think Sham was the one to tell you to get off. Sim right there, dude.
What?
It was either you or
I
Carnage
went
that told him to
when?
get off.
Somebody told me to stop
At
off.
the start of the round,
I
before
think
the
it
round
was-
even
Oh.
started.
Carnage always wanted regular goats.
Yeah.
So you guys
Trying
felt
to
you,
speed
you
it up,
guys
you
feel
know.
like you guys played goats for too long and didn't swap off and
Yes,
and
yes.
also the
Regular goats, yes. We
regular
played way
goats,
too
yeah.
long. Pushing through that choke is like it's awful.
Yeah. Okay. I mean that makes sense. It feels like I
That's why
think
you
I
need
think
a
that's not
sim or a
necessarily
quad DPS.
right, and I think that a lot of people. I mean, obviously, I think that's a common problem, you know, in ladder and a lot of people just because if something isn't working, there's a you know a point where you don't really know whether should you stick with it until it works or should
Yeah.
you change off and try to do something different.
And we had our ults too for the second fight, but
Right.
we should have just swapped. I mean, we just wasted another minute and a half doing that.
Right. Well, I mean, hey, listen, you live and you learn, right? What do you think you got out of that map that was able to kind of like, did you learn something from that map specifically going into King's Row? Like, well, what you should do and should not do? Because, I mean, King's Row is also like a heavy goats map as well. So what were you thinking going into King's Row?
Kings Row, we started really
my.
badly. We played quad
triple
DPS
DPS.
again.
We
Triple
played
DPS.
triple DPS
Should have played
without
quad DPS.
Sure on quad DPS.
without me on DPS.
But even then,
which,
yeah, I don't know.
I
They had
mean,
the
Yeah, it
Mei,
definitely
which
wasn't
countered-
the right
Was it
call.
they
Hammond
ran a
on,
Mei- they
or
ran
was
Mei
it Carnage
goats,
on
which-
Hammond and they ran Mei?
Yeah, they
It
ran
was like
Mei
stopping
goats,
him.
which we didn't anticipate it countering Hammond so hard, but it actually did. So we should have swapped to Orisa quad DPS maybe. That might
It was
work
just the wrong call.
quicker.
We
But
should have just
coulda-
gone goats.
Yeah, we should have done the goats. Goats first
Probably.
point. King's Row attacks insanely powerful.
Yeah, as soon as we
You
went
just
goats,
walk
we won the
in.
fight.
Yeah, you literally just
Yeah.
walk in and they can't do anything. They have to back up and like they have nowhere to back
I
up.
c-
If they
kinda
back up
carried.
in hotel. I carried.
No
I
one
had
cares,
like a
dude.
5-man grab.
I carry.
so here's
No,
a
we-
question. Do
I
you
bomb.
was there a reason why you didn't automatically go goats first?
Well, yeah, because
Uh,
DPS theoretically is supposed to be good against that comp on that map.
Right.
It's also
But
because
I'm not-
we scouted on top and we saw that they were on goats, but we didn't see the Mei.
Yeah.
Oh,
So we
gotcha.
just decided to go
Yeah.
quad DPS and go goats.
Well, we actually thought when we saw the Mei, we actually doubled down. Like we were like, oh yeah, Farah's gonna completely farm that, but then we had Hammond that wasn't able to do anything because he just gets frozen. So it actually kind of backfired on us.
Right. So once you guys switch and were able to get first point, what changed for you guys as far as like the mentality going on through, like, because I think that, like, you know, you guys played goats for the rest of the way, if I'm not.
Yeah, we played goats for the rest of the map and just kind of like we were at a
Destroyed 'em.
super like complete deficit like just from that first point, and we just kind of rolled through on like the rest of the map. Even on defense, we did pretty well. We lost first point quick, but we reset and won multiple fights on defense streets phase, which is like hard. So that was good.
Right.
Yeah,
I
we
want to.
played
I
really
think we
well the rest of
mostly
King's Row.
won.
What's
I think
that?
we mostly won because Vinny or their Zarya and their Diva like always fucked up their
Oh
combo.
yeah,
or,
their
like,
combos
their
were
grab was
super
like
bad.
ruined.
Yeah,
So like our runner would
Combos were
survive the grab.
yeah, that was true.
So I have a clip of General on King's Row that I want to show that kind of sums up like the beginning part of their.
Shit, here we go again.
So here we go. Here's this.
Couple of these pushes now giving up on the idea of the wrecking ball as the fight continues here. Cube getting very aggressive on the Brigida, trying to get that mercy pick. Birdman and all.
Okay, so my question is this: after watching the clip, what did the floor do to you, General Carnage, that you got so angry at it that you had to shoot it?
No, I was watching the VOD and people were like roasting me, shooting at the ground, but I was literally just spamming RB to put a new shot.
Yeah.
You know, but RB and RT are two different buttons, right? I mean, if I'm not correct.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I was just panicking
Yeah, he
trying to
one
get a
tricks
shield
Orisa
down.
and he still doesn't know the shield cooldown.
Right.
Which is pretty sad,
I mean, still, I just thought it was funny, especially because it kind of it just so happened that the camera just went to Carnage as soon as that happened, and you were able to see him just shooting at the
Yeah.
floor like he was. So that's really good too. So
that
okay,
fight was lost though, to be fair.
Yeah, no, and it goes to show because you guys were like after that, you guys obviously went goats and they went a little bit better for you guys. Was there any point at the end of Kings Row, because it was close? Kings Row was a lot closer than the other maps.
That's because of that first one, yeah.
Right, exactly. So at any point did you guys think, oh, the throne might get the map and we might have to go to a fifth map? Was there any point where you thought that we need to change it up or something different?
Is, on Kings Row, we capped with time, which was actually massive considering how badly we did on first point. So I think we were like feeling pretty confident. And defense, we had a pretty bad first point defense, but the rest we played well, and we won Kings Row on goats only. So we were really confident for Li Jiang that if we could just play goats for the rest of the series, we'd win. So that's kind of what we did.
Nice. Okay, so theoretically, let's say, for example, if the throne kind of win out on Kings Row and you guys have to go to a map 5, what would you had thought of as far as your strategy goes into the last map? What were you guys thinking of, what compositions to do, and who were you gonna focus? Theoretically.
If we lost Kings Row, that really would have sucked.
Yeah, it depends on the map.
It was Gibraltar.
It was Gibraltar.
It was
No,
I was Li Jiang, I think.
No, Li Jiang, we were set to play the 5th map because we drew.
Yeah.
On Onamura, so we'd have to play 6th map if we won again.
That would have been interesting.
If they won.
Yeah, what do you guys think
That's
about
a terrible
that?
map for goats. It's a bad map for goats, but they didn't have a team that could counter.
They didn't have a team that
they had a bunch,
play
They had a bunch of
DPS.
tanks and supports, so they couldn't run like a triple DPS comp. So I think we still would have had the advantage on Gibraltar, even though it would have been more difficult to run goats and beat them. But I don't know.
Right, and I think I mean, was it for sure Gibraltar? I thought it was Li Jiang Tower.
Yeah, it was.
It was Li Jiang Tower?
No.
Oh, it was. Okay,
It was
so
Gibraltar. Gibraltar is the tiebreaker.
okay, so Gibraltar obviously a little more dive heavy, right? So you would have to be.
Yeah.
I guess right. Depending on what you would do. What was the DPS like? What would you thinking about DPS if you had to take that map 5? Like, what were you go? Like, I guess Dune can answer that, or anybody else who's gonna play DPS at that time.
I think we'd do what we did on Route 66, just bash and bunker.
Bash and bunker.
Because they couldn't stop it.
Right. Do you guys think you had the better bunker overall?
Yes.
We were,
Yeah,
we
'cause-
rolled them with like 4 minutes, but we both played well in bunker. I mean, bunker's a cancer ass comp. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to not be good at it.
Right.
Like, but yeah, we played it really well.
I mean, okay, so let me.
The triple tank.
Oh, go ahead.
The triple tank thing was really smart. I forgot who called that, but we were gonna run 2-2-2, and we decided to run Diva, Hog, Orisa. Which, if we didn't run the Diva, if we didn't run the Diva, they would have had the shield break advantage, and we probably would have lost. We probably
That
still
and
lost the fight.
I also got hooked on Bastion a lot because they had more shield break.
Yeah.
And Cham would like always DM me.
Yeah.
Right. So okay. So then, here's one of the things. When I look at this team, at your team on paper, right? And I see all of the stuff that you guys play and stuff like that. Going into the finals itself, I wouldn't normally know who would be a designated Baptiste, but for the time that I saw Baptiste out there, it was Doomed. So
yeah, he played really well.
Right, he did. I yeah, for sure. So is it something that you
Gerard
guys
are our best Baptiste?
Right, and was that a conscious decision for you guys to be like, all right, well, we're gonna put Baptiste here,
No, that was a last minute thing.
That was a last minute thing. Okay, so because I was wondering that because I don't think that or at least people who are watching or who know you guys as far as like ladder and stuff like that, they might not think like, oh well, who's gonna be playing Baptiste here? Nobody is really known for playing Baptiste.
Yeah,
I mean, we just came out.
Yeah.
So okay, so that was like a last minute.
Yeah, we don't have a Baptiste player per se, but I know Doomed is definitely our best Baptiste.
So okay, so Doomed. So Doomed, let me ask you this particular question. What go like with that said in mind, how did you try to play Baptiste into that comp? Because we didn't get to see a lot of you in as like the first person view for Baptiste, but when we did, it seemed like you were just trying to go for a lot more damage, and you were doing a lot of damage from like far away and stuff like that, as opposed to like we didn't get to see a lot of heal spots. Was that your sort of thinking for that type of engagement, where you were trying to do more damage than healing in general?
To be honest, I feel like I was doing like a lot more healing than damage, like in
Really?
entire
Okay.
set.
I think it's also
Yeah.
the perspective that we saw, because a lot of times when the casters had the camera on you, I mean, it was mostly like longer range type things where you were just kind of shooting out and all, just contributing to like the damage from far away. So performance wise, what do you think you did anything particularly bad or any particularly good that you thought was something that might have been a game changer?
You lagged out of the party like halfway through the game.
That's something good.
That's something good.
It really didn't matter. He doesn't talk either way.
Oh, gotcha.
True, but we wanted to know, but we
He lagged
wanted
out, but we wanted
get off
to
of-
zen.
Kill him
Yeah,
Zen.
we wanted
Kill
to
him
zen
Zen.
on defense.
Oh, yeah.
Baptiste is useless on defense when you're getting rolled by a Bastion, so we wanted to zen. And this idiot wasn't in the party, so we couldn't tell him. He just got rolled. I know, but we didn't even know that.
The internet.
What was I supposed to say? I like.
Yeah, I think Doom messaged
Oh, no.
Birdman saying lagged
I
out.
said
Oh my god.
Well, okay, so we did have one point where, yeah, there was a lag and stuff like that, and there was talk. Did you ever think, we have somebody in the bench right now who we could bring in? Was that part of it, or was it just like, no, we just got to bring him back and stuff like that? And throughout the entire match, I mean, you guys just played pretty much as a unit the whole way through. Was that conscious? Did you guys think at some point, hey, we might want to bring in, I think Gerard was on the bench, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Gerard.
Gerard on the bench.
Did
Did
you guys think
at
at
cheerleader?
did you guys think at some point, all right, we might want to put Gerard for a specific spot or something, or was it just a conscious thing, like if we need him, he's there?
No.
Plays all the
We always
support.
No.
We always had
Plays all the
me,
supports,
Doom, and
but-
Anthony, or
Yeah.
body DPS.
Because if we'd have to
Birdman.
switch to
Yeah,
DPS comp, me, Doom,
Right.
and Masuda would just switch to it. And Gerard's like
Yeah.
one trick mercy, so like he really couldn't do that.
No, Gerard's really good at support. It's just we needed the flexibility for DPS comps.
Yeah, or triple team comps.
Now I think sometimes
No, Doom, I'm a flex god.
Okay, so I don't know if Gerard can answer this question, but okay, so you have a unique perspective where you can listen to your team's comms and watch the game from your team's perspective, from all around. Did you have any insights on something that they didn't notice, that halfway through you'd be like, hey, listen, you guys need to do that or something like that? Was that beneficial to the team? Did that happen at any point?
Yeah, he did do that.
Like a little bit. Like I tried not to interfere with the comms because like obviously I wasn't playing, so I
Yeah.
didn't want to like overwhelm the party with like me just talking when I'm. But yeah, I mean, I would like call out like if like I saw someone like doing something wrong or whatever, but that's pretty much it. I don't think it was like that big a difference maker or anything. I was just mainly just like the cheerleader.
Oh, come on, Gerard. So sorry.
Come on, man.
Right, but
Jordan
listen,
Play.
you were the most valuable
Yeah.
cheerleader on the
He's
squad.
like the Weiss 50-year-old Sage on our team.
Right.
It's kind of the problem with like the heroes I play. It's like, I only play support, and like we already have Birdman that plays support, and then like
No,
all
he
our
plays
DPSs
Ana.
can play support too, like
Yeah.
basically
Birdman
like flex
plays Ana.
DPSs.
Yeah.
So it's like my value's like not as useful to the team unless like if they already have Birdman.
Right.
Mhm.
No, and you know what? I feel like it makes sense, and I think that it also goes back to what General was saying about like the main tanks as well, where they the throne was switching up, and they might have changed. I think when you go into a match like that, having your 6 players kind of play through the entirety of it is important because they kind of adapt through the game as it goes. So that might also be like part of the aspect of where you guys didn't want to sub anybody out just because if it works, if it's working, don't there's no reason to fix it. So Okay, so here's my next question. I think that part of, whenever the post game interview happened, Birdman and I think Sham also was there, and you guys mentioned that after this tournament, you guys are probably gonna go separate ways as far as other tournaments in the future, like Summer Splash and stuff like that. So
we ran into difficulties and like we're kind of back.
Yeah.
Okay, so
except for Doom.
I'm not on it though.
Except for Doom.
He's
Doom
messed up
left
though.
us because he's
Me too.
Oh, and
Hello.
Gerard.
and Gerard.
Doom and Gerard are on the same team, and then
Doom and Gerard on the same
backstabbing.
team.
Others
Everyone
are
else is on the same team.
Okay, so basically you're saying that what happened on Sunday is no longer the thing that's happening on Monday. You guys are staying together for the most part?
Yeah, for the most part.
For the most part. Okay.
So I could play.
We basically dropped Doom and Gerard for better players. That's what we're trying to say.
Wow, okay.
Watch me do Summer Splash. Watch me do Summer Splash.
Yeah, dude, you're not gonna do anything and you're farmable. You're trash.
No.
Shut up already.
Anthony ate your grab.
I feel like I'm feeling the
literally
West
ate
Coast
your grab.
vibe right
Bro,
now.
Guns say Sham's grab. Like, that's even
Guns
worse.
is guns. It doesn't matter. You probably accidentally did it.
That West Coast beef.
I believe Guns is in chat,
West
by the way,
Coast.
as well. 'Cause I saw his name pop
That
up.
sucks.
Guns does suck.
Yeah, I think he's
Every
the worst
tournament
one.
he's in, he just rides
shout
the
out to
bench for
Guns.
one.
Shout out to Guns.
The bench
No,
warmer.
shout
Shout out to Guns.
I take back that shout out to Guns. He does not get a shout out. Harvey gets a shout out. I wonder to shout out
Harvey
Harvey.
gets a shout out.
Well, you know what? You guys talked about this too, but like I think I tweeted something out, and you guys were like, "Oh, I tweeted out about interviewing the rest of the champions in the CGL," and you guys mentioned how I should interview Harvey. Which, by the way, I've already asked Harvey, like way before, and he told me, he was like, "Oh, I don't know, I don't have anything to say." I was like,
No,
"All
he's a
right,
bit
cool."
shy. You gotta nag him.
He's just
Right.
shy.
All right, Harvey,
nag
I'm
him.
coming after
Yeah.
you. All right, just be
Yeah,
prepared.
yeah.
Every day, I'm gonna ask you for
He'll
the
like
interview.
that. He'll like that. He likes the attention.
All right, so here's one of the things on what was the map? Was it Lijiang that you guys had where Harvey, it almost looked like Harvey was going to clutch out.
He 5-word Birdman and like our Farah is like every like fight. I don't know.
That
It was
league
on
game
Farah.
was
It
just
didn't matter who
really,
was on
really
Farah.
weird.
It didn't matter who was on Farah. Harvey would like kill them.
5 of them.
So you
And then
guys
he got
think that
Birdman really well.
So you guys think that Harvey, what at some aspect where you were like, okay, we need to focus Harvey. I mean, obviously the at that point on Lijiang Tower, it worked out for you guys. That you didn't need to, do anything afterwards. But were you what was going through your mind at that moment when Harvey? I think he got a 3K, right, or a 2K?
It was 4.
It was 4. It was okay. It was 4.
It was literally 4.
Yeah, he clutched out quite a few skills. What was going through you guys' mind as to like, okay, we need to reverse this. This is we had this fight.
I thought we lost.
Wait, was that the last fight?
No,
I believe it was.
We lost,
Okay, yeah.
I came back
But
on
Masuda
Tracer,
had EMP
and Masuda was
and
still
Doom
there.
and
I
Anthony
ended
Barrage.
up EMPing through the
Yeah.
supports and then just
Oh
melting
yeah, and the
Harvey.
barrage.
And me and,
And then
Anthony
I-
killed their Lucio.
Came back as
I
a
killed
Doom
Lucia
Bliss.
and Mercy
Masuda,
too.
our
Killed
DPS.
And I
Ace.
hacked
He's
Farah.
garbage.
Yeah.
I just heard I killed everyone because he's garbage.
Bro,
We killed
killed-
Ace. He's garbage.
We killed
Killed
Ace
Ace.
because he's retarded
Ace 'cause
and
he's
just
garbage.
easy kills. It's bad all around.
I gotta be honest. I think that like throughout the entirety of the season and you guys on Twitter and stuff like that, it's really cool to see like the banter you guys have. And I mean, I don't know if it's like a
Oh, is
real
that what we're
hatred or
calling
not,
it?
but like I do feel
Is
like
that what we're calling it?
that's what I'm gonna call it. That's what. But like it feels like it's really cool to see because it creates kind of like a narrative. Like now I feel like the Throne has this stigma of like kind of like the New York Excel stigma where they're a great regular season team and they do really well, but they kind of they can't clutch out.
Yeah.
The side. And I mean
Mainly
Vinny
Vinny.
was
Mainly
choking.
Vinny.
Mainly, yeah, mainly bad.
They just
Vinny's
suck.
the New York, bro.
It's in
They
his
just suck,
genes,
though.
It's in his DNA.
Wow, it's in his DNA. Oh wow, you guys heard it here
Then
Vinny's
he's
first.
just bad at
Vinny's
picking teams. I think
He's a
I think
choke
he's
star.
bad
yeah,
at picking
he
teams.
plays with all the bad people.
Yeah,
That's
he plays with
Wow,
veterans.
like
that's
he
some
played
fighting
with
words.
best friend, HD Killer. Like that kid's trash.
It's garbage.
Literally, he
Yeah,
left our
he's
team because
good.
he said their team was better, and like look what happened.
Wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
He also plays with Nano. He like
Yeah,
manipulates use of
Banana's like
Adderall in
homeless
game.
again, so that's not happening.
Oh yeah.
okay, so
Good
then
nano.
so here's my question: going into the next season of CGL, I mean, obviously things are gonna change, and it's gonna be some time for that to happen. But do you guys feel like going into the next season, are you guys gonna go in as Banditos again and try this another time and see if it, if you could continue dominating in the season?
Yeah,
Is
be
that the
fun.
plan?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not the exact same team, but I
Maybe.
think we should keep the name.
Oh,
For
absolutely.
sure.
I
Or
mean,
at
I
least in
think
CGL.
I think now there's like not a. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as saying a legacy, but there is like a a vibe that you guys have now as Banditos is like, all right, we came in and everybody thought the throne, and then now we came in and we won, and so now there's a narrative. It's like it's kind of like the same type of idea that, like, those types of matches in sports where the team that everybody thought wasn't going to win ended up winning, like the Cavs versus Warriors, or something like that, where it has that sort of idea. So you guys are you guys looking forward to seeing maybe a newer version of the throne, or what they're going to throw at you guys to see if like maybe they can get better, or something that you guys would be like, all right, I want to see something.
They're disbanded.
I'm sure, but like I'm sure that there's gonna be like a version of them that'll pop up as like a different, maybe like a better version of themselves, I guess.
No,
It's a
No?
big
I
game.
don't think they're
big
Ace
no.
joined our team. Ace joined our team, and Vinny's
They-
like teaming with like
Vinny
Luke and like Dankus and them, or Okaniri.
And Mac doesn't play the game anymore.
Lagish is taking a break.
doesn't play. Lagish doesn't. Yeah.
So I don't. I mean,
And we
Throne
took Harvey
probably
too.
pick up another rust. Yeah.
I think the saddest part is that the throne was sponsored by, I think, CGL Nips, I believe.
Nips.
Yeah, by
Right.
Nips. Yeah, so that was like his team, and I believe that they had like their own little like team Twitter. They had like marketing behind them. They had all these like headers and stuff, and I heard that Lagish or Drew or Mocha is his in-game gamer tag. He had like a like a I think Nips gave him like a PayPal account with
Bank
like money
account.
to spend on the team, like a bank account. I think it was a PayPal. I think it was just like a regular PayPal with like money in it. And yeah, I mean, it just shows that like a Nips or how many people were involved were like putting a lot of money into this team, and it kind of just sucks that it went pretty much to waste because they got second place and they don't take anything home. We got the whole prize pool.
So a few things
all
a few things. I spoke to Nips a few weeks ago, and we talked about that too, because that was another one of those things where it was like a rumor where like, oh, they gave him a PayPal. Apparently, according to Nips in that interview and after that on Twitter, he mentioned how that he never actually gave him a PayPal. He was just like one of those things where he said he was going to, and it was an idea, but it never actually happened. But I do have to say that there is something about like how you're right. They did create a Twitter. They were kind of going as an org, like, hey, listen, we're an org, we're professional, we got the social media and stuff like that. And you guys kind of just came in as like, we're just a bunch of people who play together, who we don't care if we have an org or not. We're just going in as us. Do you think that was part of like, you guys being an underdog?
Yeah. Well, I thought the org thing was kind of corny. Like, I don't know. I just preferred like staying whatever as West Coast. I don't know.
Well,
see, like the thing is though,
Go ahead.
oh, sorry. I was gonna say like I feel like the Throners have always been like kind of overrated, because even during the Limsauce tournament when we were scrimming before the tournament actually happened, like we were like the most dominant team, and the only reason they looked so good, like the Throne, is because quad DPS became
No
a
one
thing,
knew how to counter
and no one
quad
could.
DPS.
Yeah, no one had an answer for it. Like no one could play dive. Well, our team couldn't play dive because Shem didn't play Diva, and
Still can't play Diva.
And yeah, like
I have
they
100%
just
win
like
rate, 100% win rate in the set.
they look really strong because of quad DPS, but now that the meta has shifted and like Arista Hog is the thing now, they're just like a lot weaker because their biggest thing was playing quad DPS every map, and like teams were really scared about that. But now that they can't do that, their ghost is just a lot weaker compared to ours because our tanks like just outplay them. So
And
like I always felt they're overrated, and they got a big fan base and stuff because they look so dominant in the Lynx House tournament. But now that the meta's like changed, it's like not favoring them anymore. So I never really saw us as like the underdogs. I always felt like we were the better team.
Okay, so this brings me to my next question, and this is probably going to close out the show itself. And I think this is a question that, you guys already kind of talked about it before. I think CGL as a whole, and not just CGL, but obviously Elo Hell Esports is also trying to do the same thing where they're trying to bring console to like mainstream esports and trying to legitimize console as an actual viable thing, not just necessarily because of the players and stuff like that, but also putting money into it and resources and stuff like that. And I know that you guys as a players, I've seen some of you guys' tweets where you guys talk about like, oh, it's just console Overwatch, like nobody cares, blah blah, but this and that. Do you think that at some point, like in your minds, because I know some other people feel differently, but in your guys' mind, do you guys think that maybe at one point orgs and teams and stuff like that will be like important, and that putting together like an image and a team and stuff like that will actually be part of like doing things correctly in like the CGL and stuff like that? Or do you think that just staying as like a grassroots type thing where it's not necessarily about the money, or just you guys just want to play together? What's your views on this, and how do you think the scene is going to grow afterwards? And this could be for anybody, obviously, like, whoever has the
Could I answer?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, obviously.
I just feel like there's not enough like good players in console Overwatch for there to be like a massive scene. Because in my opinion, I feel like even though it's good that like diamonds and like masters and like lower ranks participate in these tournaments, I feel like those teams won't draw in like a bigger audience because people want to see like the best players playing. They don't want to be seeing like average players playing, even though it's fun for them. But there's just not enough players on like Xbox.
And I mean,
because there's only two dominant teams.
I think CGL
PS4 has a better chance.
I think CGL and CGL, some of the CGL admins are in chat, and they could probably answer this question better than I can. But from what I've seen already, there has been a lot of support, even at the diamond tier and the gold tier. People. It's not necessarily like the people want to watch better players, but those people have a big following as far as their own supporters for their own teams, and sometimes they get quite a bit of views. I mean, there's been times where I've seen 50 to 100 people watching a diamond game or a gold game. So
like the Danny DeVito team.
Yeah, like something like that. Like exactly, like that's what I mean. Like those, they might not be, obviously they're not like players like you guys are, where you guys are a lot higher tier than they are, but they bring support, and they also bring a lot of viewerships and stuff like that. Do you think that maybe teams like that can legitimize the scene moving forward? Because even though you're higher tier and stuff like that, and there might not be as many good players, do you think that eventually, right, players who played before can probably come back and form bigger teams? Because I think that was part of it, right? There wasn't enough teams to really kind of create a good environment, like competitive. Yeah. Do you think eventually there will be?
Yeah, the league had like 4 good teams.
I mean, I feel like less and less people are playing like console Overwatch, so.
What do you think that is?
Yeah.
Like, I'm curious because I feel like the popularity of the esport is still there. Why do you think that they're not playing console Overwatch in general? Or do you think it's just Overwatch in general?
Because it's not even like the meta in my opinion. It's not even the meta in my opinion. I feel like it's just like once you start climbing really high and you like reach your goals and like competitive, like there's not much competition like once you're like like at the top.
Also,
and then people just stop playing. They lose interest.
Ranked is really bad.
Garbage
and ranks,
ranks
is
you could be
very discouraging.
You could be
like
4,500 plus. Just playing in 3,900 games.
Rank just gives a really bad influence for many players, and some like fun in general.
Okay, so wouldn't the question be, okay, so like if ranked is a problem, wouldn't being in a team and a league and scrimming and doing matches more often than ranked be a reason to come back to the scene, to the console Overwatch scene?
Yeah, but ranked's always gonna be it's always gonna be like the foundation. Like if you come back to play scrims, you're gonna play ranked. Like I think that's just how you kind of stay good at the game. I don't know.
Stay not washed.
There's just no competition though either. Like even in the CGL league, there's like we roll like every team. Like there's like Toronto's like the only team we really feel like challenges us, and it's just because there's not enough people at like the top tier level like that are like playing, that are making teams and like trying to participate in these type of things. And yeah, it's just like there's just no competition on Xbox.
Well, listen, I think I think personally I hope that like, because I genuinely like to watch higher tier gameplay, especially coming from Xbox. I loved watching the finals. I thought it was a great game. I watched quite a few matches throughout the season. I thought they were great. And, you know, it was unfortunate to see that some games you couldn't see because they forfeited or they weren't able to play or stuff like that. So I do think that the level of competition should go up. And I'm hoping to see that more often than not. And listen, guys, I hope that you guys continue to do your thing. You know, keep playing tournaments. I love watching you guys. You guys are great players. And, you know, once again, thank you for the interview. Thank you for coming by. This is really unique as far as everybody together. I don't think I've done that.
Wait, before you go, can I ask some? Do you have any like affiliation with one of like the CGL members, Captain Awesome?
Captain Awesome. I've interviewed Captain Awesome. But as far as like, I mean, I know him on Twitter. I've spoken to him, but like, I don't have any direct affiliation with him, as you know, like I'm not like really good friends with him. I just, you know, speak to him. Why? Is there some sort of, did you want to contact him or something?
I mean,
he wants to get unblocked and unbanned.
Yeah.
Oh, you get unblocked and unbanned. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I can try to reach out. Who knows?
Yeah. I was just like, this what happened in his Twitch chat. I was just trying to like give him like some direct criticism on his gameplay.
Oh, yeah. right. Well, okay. So here's
end the interview.
End it.
You're so retarded.
I'm gone.
All right. Well, listen, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later, if anything. If you want, DM me and I'll talk to you more about that.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine.
All right. Well, listen, everybody.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, of course, anytime, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Bye.
All right. See you guys. All right, so guys, that was it for the show. Thank you for Banditos for coming by and hanging out and just basically doing as much as they could and being a part of the show. I appreciate it a lot. We are going to have a championship series for Off the Wall for the next week or two. We're going to try to get as many people as possible coming through to the show. And so if you're part of a championship team, if you like, you know, if you are, you know, want to talk about your championship win and stuff like that, come see us or come see me. And then I'll try to get you on the show and we'll talk about it. So guys, thank you so much for being on the show. We're going to go raid somebody right now from Twitch. We're going to see who's available on here as well. I should also mention our sponsor, So Sick Clothing. If you like hip hop, gaming, skateboarding, graffiti, go ahead and check them out. Use coupon code DAZZLE167 to get 15% off of anything off the website. And you'll definitely enjoy your purchases. I'm getting a few of their stuff in the mail, so hopefully we'll see what happens there. I'm going to go ahead and rate somebody, a Lucio player actually. So we'll see how they respond to this. Guys, if you see him in the chat, let him know that Dazzle167 sent you from Off the Wall. He'll enjoy having this raid over here, and give him some love on my behalf. All right, guys, I'll catch you all later. See ya. Bye.
Alright, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. F it up. Oh, I'm in the groove. Back in the mix. Check yourself. Oh, feel that healing beat. All right, heal up. Heal up. Heal up. Heal up. Healing boost. Oh, I like the sound of that. Ooh, I must have this track on repeat. Repeat. Oh, you hear that? You hear that? Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it. Break it. Break it. Break it down. Let's drop the beat. Beat. Let's get you healed up. Let's get you healed up. Healed up. Yeah. Healed up. Yeah, let's move it, people. Yeah, let's move it, people. Yeah, let's pick it up. Lucio coming at you. Coming at you. Yeah, time to heal up. Oh, turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up in my headphones. My headphones. Turn it up in my headphones. Audio medic. Audio medic. Audio medic. Move to the beat. Boost. Oh, this is my jam. Time to accelerate. Alright, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. F it up. Oh, I'm in the groove. Back in the mix. Check yourself. Oh, feel that healing beat. All right, heal up. Heal up. Heal up. Heal up. Healing boost. Oh, I like the sound of that. Ooh, I must have this track on repeat. Repeat. Oh, you hear that? You hear that? Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it.